Hey there, what can I do for you? Sorry, Hey there, what? Don't worry. Okay, have it.
Yeah, what do you want? Hey, don't worry. A real warrior. There anything else? The war we had with the Republic was supposed to be the biggest battle in our history. There weren't many of us after that last battle. No armor, only the honor of having fought in the battle we just lost. For many, this was not enough. Were sent into exile on the Outer Rim. They tried to relive the old days, raiding worlds. Then enforcing for Davik was not stimulating. Davik's rivals were trash. Tell you more about what it was like to work for Davik. For now, though.
Yes. I was remembering Taris. No, it's all right. I think I'm over the worst of it. I apologize again for lashing out at you. It was not your fault. It was a horrible place to have to live. At least in the lower cities where the non-humans tended to get relegated. Living for years in a place with no sun, living off the trash dropped from the upper levels, and a meager pay doing back-breaking labor. There was always the danger of Rakuls coming up from the sewers, or more mundane predators living and working in the area. My family and I struggled each and every day to make something of our lives. But we could only go so far. Taxes from the corrupt government, more fees from the gangs controlling the streets, and whatever was left paying for what food and medical supplies we could afford. And of course, there was the constant bigotry and hate from the more affluent and human citizens, lording their wealth over us living below. Every once in a while, a rich human would come down through the lower levels with his droid entourage just to see how the wildlife lived, and laughed at the mockeries that were our successes. But I have come to meet many decent humans in my travels since those days. Indeed, some of the greatest people I have ever met are human. I have noticed that. But the Jedi Order seems to have collected a fair number. The Jedi who encouraged me to join the Order. The one who was with the group going to fight the Mandalorians. She was human. I am sorry. I am getting away from my point. Sometimes I curse the day my parents fled to Taris. But then again, if they had not, I would not be where I am today. Another story for another time. For now, we must continue our own epic. To save the galaxy, if we can. How may I be of... What is it you would like to speak? I have been doing well, I suppose. As well as I can. But I am more interested in you right now. Do not mistake me. It is just that, even though we have traveled together for a while, it seems I know next to nothing about you personally. We have been traveling together since Tatooine, but I know nothing of you before that. Would you humor me and tell me a little bit about yourself? Your job, your childhood, your life? I am sorry if I am making you uncomfortable. I will fully understand if you choose not to answer. I greatly appreciate your taking the time to talk to me. How did you come to be on Tatooine, besides the obvious, of course? Taris. It always seems to come back to Taris for me. I am sorry, I get distracted. What did you do before that? A life in the army. Not my career of choice, though. We KOTOR cannot seem to adjust to regimented organizations like the military. But I have heard that it appeals to males of your species. Fighting? Defending? That is what we as Jedi seem to be called upon to do. Perhaps we are not as unalike as I had previously thought. But again, I seem to be wasting your time with my carrying on. I apologize. I have been watching you for some time. I wonder if you have noticed. I have been thinking of how far I had fallen, and how you exemplify the code of the Jedi. I find myself ashamed. Your power in the Force is strong, and I can sense no taint of the dark side in you. That makes my shame even worse. That I had so easily fallen to the dark side, that I could convince myself that by injuring my master, I became a great force of evil in the galaxy for my pride, my hubris, for the inner rage that all of my species feels. Sometimes I wish that I had not been born this way. I am sorry. I start to talk thinking about how you stay strong to the path of virtue and justice, and I find myself whining again about my own inadequacies. The Council would be proud to see that you had learned your lessons so well. How may I be of a... What is it you would like to... Well, I mentioned before that my parents had fled to Taris. Perhaps I can tell you about that. No, there were not. Having fled the birth world of my species, my parents flew as far and wide as they could. And so I was raised alone, knowing of my birthplace only the few stories my parents could tell, and seeing no other member of my species at all. It all comes back to wars and fighting. The curse of your race, it seems. In the early days of the Mandalorian War, there had been fighting closer to the Outer Rim worlds. KOTOR was there, yes. My people had a great reputation as warriors, and that appealed to the Mandalore version of honor. They sought to test themselves against us, I think. Test themselves by bombing our world, slaughtering my people while they slept or while they ran. They swooped down from space, across the world, firing at anything that moved. They used ships in space to destroy all orbital facilities and bombard the surface. We did resist, and in spite of their violent attack, we did stave them off for quite a while. But in the end, we were doomed. We were not members of the Republic. KOTOR was beyond the edge of the Republic, in the Outer Rim. And besides, they could not have known. Our interstellar communications were the first things the Mandalores hit. All other short-range communicators were jammed. We were on our own. We knew what was coming. We had fought the Mandalorians in the first war against Exar Kun and the Sith. We knew there would be no mercy for us. The most we could do was pack the few of our people who survived onto what few ships remained and send them off into space as fast as they could. Most did not make it. My parents carried me as a baby with them and were lucky enough to escape. They day life unnecessarily hard. I'm in local bars and dives, but we are warriors. He let his warrior nature get... so he would get intoxicated. And finally, one day, he would die. Killed by a man who provoked him into a fight and killed him like an animal. I am sorry. I cannot talk about this any longer right now. How may I be a... What is it you would... After my father died, my mother was left to support me alone. A single non-human woman, living in one of the worst, most violent slums on Taris. It was not easy for her. When my father was killed, it seemed that something in her began to die as well. She worked. She worked as hard as she was able. But over time, she began to waste away. I later learned that she was unable to get enough money to feed both of us, and had to start borrowing from the exchange. A band of cutthroats and smugglers. But even that was not enough. She hid what she was doing from me. She gave most of her food to me so that I would be strong, but she herself was suffering deeply from it. In the end, she could go on no longer, and collapsed at the cantina where she worked one day. She never recovered. There was nothing really that I could do for her. She left me no money, and no doctor would see her without being paid first. I sat by her bed for days as she lay there dying. I never want that to happen to someone I care about ever again. But there was still the money she had borrowed. She had never paid it back and made no provisions for her death. You must understand. The exchange is brutal. They care nothing for the life of a sentient being. They are the major suppliers of slaves on Taris. They thought it would be appropriate that, with my mother owing them money, the debt should be passed on to me. And with no way to pay, they took me by force. You have no idea what it is like to be bound like a beast and treated as such. It was the worst time of my life. They treated me like livestock. They were waiting for a buyer to give them some credit for me when the Jedi came to fight the Mandalorians. The Jedi could not abide by what they saw there, and drove the exchange from the face of the world, freeing those of us imprisoned there. But the Jedi soon left to fight their war, and I was left with a dream. I swore that I would become a Jedi. As soon as I had enough money to do it, I bought passage on a freighter headed for Tatooine, and we both know what has happened since then. I am grateful to you for having given me the opportunity to fulfill my dream, rather than become what I hated. Someday, I may make it up to you. But for now, let us keep on the task at hand. How may I be of... What is it you would... Of course.
Got something on your... How many could you... Ask me later. Got something on... I don't want to talk about that. Maybe, but I doubt it. I'm made stubborn that way. Got something on you. I don't... Yes, you do. You may mean well enough, but my private affairs are just that. Private. Let me tell you something. Once you've lived as many years as I have, you'll have yourself a long, long list of memories. If you're lucky, most of them will be good. If you're not, some will be bad. If you're really unlucky, some will be so bad you'll never want to be reminded of them again, ever. You'll go far away, to a place that doesn't hold any memories at all. And there you'll be happy just to forget and be forgotten. Partly, maybe. I doubt I could ever explain it to you fully, even if I wanted to. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been in love? Truly in love, I mean, and not simple infatuation. Exactly. You're still at the beginning of your life. There will be women in your life, perhaps many women. But if you're fortunate, you'll find love once. The Jedi, with their damnable sense of overcaution, would tell you love is something to avoid. Thankfully, anyone who's even partially alive knows that's not true. Love doesn't lead to the dark side. Passion can lead to rage and fear, and can be controlled. But passion is not the same thing as love. Controlling your passions while being in love, that's what they should teach you to beware. But love itself will save you, not condemn you. Listen to me go on as if I had all the answers. What do I know of love anymore? I'm just a lonely old man who's not even a Jedi. Nope, never was. Technically, I never rose above the rank of Padawan for various reasons. Does that surprise you? In my case, becoming a Jedi would have been a formality. I doubt the Order and I would have gotten along well, considering my opinions on things such as love. Love causes pain, certainly. Inevitably, love is going to lead to as much sorrow and regret as it does joy. I suppose there are perfect, eternal loves out there, but I haven't seen any. And how do you deal with the bad part of love is what determines your character. What determines the dark side's hold over you. I suppose it could. It would take a strong person to make that kind of commitment, I think. Someone with a great sense of self. I'll tell you one thing. Sometimes, no matter how hard you try, you and the one you love simply aren't meant to be together. The trick is to know when that is. To know when it's time to fight and when it's time to part ways. There I go, waxing philosophical again. Somebody blast me already. Let's get going before I start talking in riddles, damn it. Got something on you. Oh, I get it.
Yes, what's on your mind? You got it.
How can I help? Then I suggest we...
Calo Nord is dead, Lord Malak. He has failed in his mission. Forgive me.
The penalty for failure is death, Admiral Kareth. But the failure was Calo's, not yours. You may rise.
Shall I hire another bounty hunter, Lord Malak?
No mere bounty hunter can stand against a Jedi. I shall not make the same mistake again. My apprentice, Darth Bandon, shall take care of our young Jedi friend. Find Bastila and bring her to me, alive, if possible.
As you command, Master.
How can I help? Then I suggest we...
It is relaxing to come out.
I fear it is only a matter of time before the Sith find us here.
Genchopa chawi tichok twis yun kun. Watu yama kama wona henak nek. Bugra shak kunti chiwa chawa. Dong abuk shami no nok.
I'm Bastila, yes. I take it that you know my mother?
Bona na kachu. Kicha badwang. Wanga kum kiba bu mulera. Kakin chak nawagawa bakon.
Is there something I can do for you, miss? As you can see, we're in quite a hurry.
Kakin cha na kwat na bon kon. Wana kumbes. Chi pala mulek. Tong ki pa na nonek. Tu nikton chun chun ke nemolek rabest. Wuf mala nibo kurk.
My mother's condition?
Ti umpa do punta krita. Ak ti kondo ona chabachisa wanki. Ti toki grantu kon chip chan kun gri.
I've not seen my mother since I joined the Order. Do you know what's happened? Did she say anything about my father?
Genchopa chawi tichok twis yun kun. Watu yama kama wona henak nek. Bugra shak kunti chiwa chawa. Dong abuk shami no no.
I see. Where did you meet her? Do you remember?
Chika don mulaka. Wata yuma ka wama hona nek. Ashantington unumani patoka. Wana kuna best chinga pala multonki.
Thank you for informing me. I really must be going now. It seems my mother's been looking for me. Strange. Should we get the opportunity, could we look for her on Tatooine? It's important enough that my mother was attempting to seek me out. Perhaps it has something to do with my father. Part of me would rather not see her at all. But if she's really sick, well, we shall see.
If you are seeking information, perhaps the Jedi Council will help.
Yikukumo, Jedabadawana catch Achuta. Jedabadawana Nidibo Muchashakpa.
Akum just Rundi Hadong.
I heard that the Sith have destroyed Taurus. This bodes against us.
May the Force be with...
It is well that you are still alive, Padawan. You have a mission. The Council...
You felt it, yes? Another vision? The Force continues to work through us, showing us the star maps unearthed by Reverend Malak. Tatooine is known for little but blowing sand. I find it surprising that there would be a star map somewhere in its desolate wastes. Perhaps, though that would have been tens of thousands of years in the past. Now there's nothing but the howling emptiness of the Dune Sea. The star map would likely have to be within some kind of shelter to protect it against dust and sandstorms. I suspect there are many such caves and caverns hidden in the sands of the Dune Sea. The creatures of this world probably use them as their lairs. No doubt things will become more clear once we discover the star map's location.
Yes, what's on your mind?
Tatooine's just a desert planet. I hear the mining isn't going so well. I bet the colony gets abandoned before long.
Well, that's all I can think. You got it.
How can I help? Sorry. I'm just thinking about my mother. It's strange to hear news after all this time. It's quite distracting. It's not that I look forward to seeing her. I just can't help but wonder what she wants. But perhaps we have better things to do.
Yeah, what do you want? Tatooine is one big desert, with rocks sticking out. I heard that some of my people came here after the war, but I don't know what happened to them. The world of my clan, Ordo, was much like this. Dust basins and rock crags. But my world at least has some green around the equator. This place is just sand all over. There are some vicious people on this world, but the desert is the real enemy. Trips out in the desert, especially the deep desert, should be taken very carefully. You have anything else you want? Your choice.
Welcome to Anchorhead, potential customer. Zerka Corporation stands ready to serve. After some formalities, of course. First, your ship is not on our list of planned arrivals for today. There is a docking fee of 100 credits because of this. The immediate benefit is access to these very docking facilities. This is the only port in Anchorhead. Once you've paid, we will offer trade services as well. We're not unreasonable, we just want to cover expenses. I assure you that the fee is non-negotiable. We have a very thin margin of profit on this world. That does make sense. I suppose I could let it go this time. We need the business. This will cover any future landings as well. It's like a registration, so we can serve you better when you return. Now, as a customs officer, I can provide information on services. Is this visit business or pleasure? There isn't much to tell. It's a very old planet, well past its prime. Zerka Corporation is the only company with any interest in it. It's not a very pretty world, but there is opportunity here if you know where to look. I can't really get into that. It hasn't been a very smooth operation. I shouldn't get into it. It's common knowledge, so there's no harm in telling you. It's a tale of bad business. You see, Zerka Corporation staked their claim to this planet based on some very promising geological surveys. Unfortunately, that information was incorrect, and possibly even an attempt at sabotage by a rival company. Not totally barren. There were a few good years of mining, and limited operations are still in place. But the ore is flawed. It has peculiar properties. They've had to look at other forms of business. Zerka Corporation has really tried to hide this, but it just seems that Tatooine metal is unfit for effective manufacturing. I would imagine that this outpost will eventually be abandoned. Nobody is making any money here. Of course, this rock may have been settled a few times, so look for some other company to get stuck with it. Pursuits that appeal to the casual traveler. There are some fearsome native species that provide exciting hunting. There are also lengthy, barren wastes that serve as fine soup tracks. Attracting business has been slow, however. Very little. There are hints that it might once have been a lush world, but I can't picture it as anything but a desert. Native sentient species have no records going back that far. That was hundreds of years ago, maybe thousands. Of course, the native species are not very willing to tell anyone anything. They're barely more than animals. The Sand People. They're vicious and attack outsiders on sight. More animal than anything, really. Maybe they know the history of Tatooine. Maybe they don't. Impossible to tell. They won't cooperate. Not personally, but they've given Zerka Corporation a rough time. It's hard enough mining this rock without suffering random attacks. I think the company has even put a bounty on them, but I'm sure not going to try for it. It depends on what level of risk you want to take. You could ask at the Zerka office if any bounties need collecting. That's in Central Anchorhead. While you're at the office, ask for a hunting license so you can sell trophies to Faza in his lodge, just north of them. I suppose you could also take up swoop racing. Talk to the hut at the registration office by the track. That's in West Anchorhead. I can't say I know which of these jobs is the most dangerous. I stay away from all of them. That's not much information. Could you tell me more? A star map? That's old holotech, isn't it? Not much reason to outfit this dry rock with tech like that. You could ask around, but for something like that, you'll probably have to go digging. I wouldn't know where to begin. You could always ask a Jawa. It's hard to tell what they know. It depends on... While you're at the... I suppose you... I can't... As you wish.
The landing bay is lined with auto guns to keep it safe.
Uchua penki, tangi tuamaji, human act in ikatune, chi itakanki, chanak baba Hassan shan, noba mulira tilai kunka, ki mulira kunkin. Achua penki, yun patisa, ti chubaji kunka naga, kingu mwa mulirado. Baba Hassan shan, noba mulira tilai kunka, chiwi aita ka tong chicha, agi inko tune chuna mulira, tangi wama jikona, tongki pa nonku nek abog, chiwa aita kang kicha na chupornibo, kun mulira slimo poiwanga, tangi wama ji human act, chiwi aita ka tong chicha, agi inko tune chuna mulira, tangi wama jikona, tongki pa nonku nek abog, chiwa aita kang kicha na chupornibo, kun mulira slimo poiwanga, tangi wama ji human act in chiwi aita ka tong chicha, agi inko tune chuna mulira, tangi wama jikona. Baba Hassan shan, noba mulira tilai kunka. Baba chiwi ait chiwa ki mulira, chiwa aita kang kicha na chupornibo, kun mulira slimo poiwanga, tangi tuamaji human act in ikatune. Baba Hassan shan, noba mulira tilai kunka. Chiwi aita ka tong chicha, agi inko tune chuna mulira, tangi wama jikona, tongki pa nonku nek abog, ki mulira. Smilia! Tingkuin ko.
Papuelta, Colo Luz, Ivan Rebut, Ikel Irimo. Untasta Shiafa, Ufta Kel Peace, Colo Luzta. Papuelta, Colo Luz, Ivan Rebut, Ikel Irimo. Papuelta, Colo Luz, Ivan Rebut, Ikel Irimo. Luztadan Kelva, Hoisidan Kelva. Tunitus Blackman Nipotelva, Orisidan Delva Vadino Kapapoelta, Kolotus Nivan Rebut,
You a swoop racer? Crazy fool.
No more supplies have been ordered for the Zerka outposts on Kashyyyk. Doesn't sound like economic restructuring to me. No more supplies have been ordered for the Zerka outposts on Kashyyyk. Doesn't sound like economic restructuring to me.
Please, will you help me? I have nothing left. Oh, thank you. I don't have anywhere else to turn. If you're down and out on Tatooine, you're on your own. My husband was a hunter, killed out on the dunes. This raid plate is all I have left. Please, will you buy it? I don't need a handout. I just can't sell it to Faza without a license. Please, I'm worried about having it. They're so rare. It's the bone plate from the head of the desert raid. My husband was so proud when he found it. He had just started hunting. He said he felt sure the next hunt would bring in more, so we waited to sell this one. Then he never came back. Will you buy it? I don't know. How could I be sure you would come back? Are you sure you... I'm sorry, but I can't take that chance. Are you sure you can't... You will? Cheaper? Please, it's... Oh, thank you. I hope it is enough. You've been a great help. I appreciate it. My children will too.
Thank you for helping this woman. It may not seem like such a great thing to you, but you are making a difference.
For whatever it means, may the Force be with you. You've saved us.
Laboda ni winkis matoma, wana kun bes jingpa marulira, tok jingbang non kek, tok ninja mulira rabes. Kuya mi jus kuna jitanai, ina kun ba marulira rachikun, slimo padona, mundi hadonga chihonkabi.
Her mother was supposed to be here somewhere. Ask if they've seen her.
Laboda ni winkis matoma, wana kun bes jingpa marulira, tok jingbang non kek. Tok ninja mulira rabes. Kuya mi jus kuna jitanai, ina kun ba marulira rachikun, slimo padona, mundi hadonga chihonkabi.
We should try to find her. I doubt she wants to be kept waiting.
Yatuka ulwan kinkuna ba mulira rachikun, mucha shampanpa.
Something you want? I don't have a lot of time for talk, so please, make it quick. All right, but I'm not sure what I could say to interest you. I just work on the crawlers. I repair the sand crawlers when they return from the mines. They get pretty banged up, even without the attacks. The sand people attack them pretty regularly. Zerka Corporation is getting pretty sick of it, I hear. They've offered bounties on sand people for a while now, but few hunters take them up on it. Too dangerous. Try at the Zerka offices right here. They'd know. Oh, the big crawlers head out at dawn. That's so they avoid the bigger predators. The raid, I mean, doesn't help avoid the sand people, though. They attack pretty regular, no matter what Zerka Corporation tries. Well, it's a hole in the galaxy as far as I'm concerned. I doubt this outpost will last much longer. But that's happened before and will happen again. Anchorhead has been resettled a few times now. Well, Tatooine fools people. It looks like it might have a good supply of resources, but it doesn't. Before a company learns this, they've already set up communities to support operations they now can't afford. Company pulls out, cities dry up, and after a few years, someone that doesn't know why it failed tries again. No one is. I guess it looked like a promising mining planet, but the metal, I tell you, it just isn't right. I've been a mechanic my whole life, and I've never seen anything corrode as fast as Tatooine metal. It's why whoever was here before left, and why Zerka will leave, and why whoever comes next will leave. All right then, back to work, I guess.
If the Republic cared at all, they would laser the desert from orbit. Let's see the sand people.
Lord Malak was most displeased when he learned you had escaped Taris alive. He has promised a great reward to whoever destroys you.
Womp rats are not good eating.
I'm here.
Sure.
Yes? I'm sorry, do I know you?
I'm here, Mother. But don't you recognize me?
What do you expect when I haven't so much as had a picture of you since you left? Do you know how long I've been trying to find you?
You knew as well as I communication would be impossible once I joined the Order. Now what is this about? Where is Father?
Then you haven't heard. I should have known.
Has something happened to him? Are you going to tell me or not?
Your father is dead, Bastila. That is part of the reason why I was looking for him.
Dead? What happened? What did you do to him?
Isn't this a lovely reunion? Already she's flinging insults at me. Tell me, you're one of her friends. Do you treat your mother this way? Is that so? Well, I'll be joining her soon enough, I suppose.
I was told you were sick. Are you actually dying, or is this merely melodrama for my benefit?
Such sweet things, you say. Perhaps I should tell you everything first before we start arguing again.
You could start by telling me what you got Father into that killed him.
I hadn't realized Jedi was so spiteful. You want me to tell you I brought your father here for an expedition, do you? You want to blame me for his death? You never accepted that your father loved going on his treasure hunts, leaving you alone with me. I was always to blame for everything. What else is new? So yes, fine. I brought your father here to look for Krayt dragon pearls. He took an expedition into the Tatooine desert, and he died.
How can you be sure of that? father is an experienced...
Do you think I would look for you if I wasn't sure? They were attacked by a crate dragon, and one of the guides fled the battle. He saw your father killed.
I see. So what do you want from me? Credits?
Oh, don't be insulting. I want you to use those senses of yours. I want you to find him. I want you to bring back his holocron.
Why? So you can sell it?
Is it too much to ask that I have something to remember your father by? Of course it is, isn't it? You couldn't be bothered.
We're very busy on a mission from the Jedi Council. I doubt I'll have the time. Ask my companions if you doubt me.
As my daughter is quick to point out, I haven't the coin to hire another expedition. Nor am I the adventurer my husband was.
What remains would there be? Crate dragons are huge predators, easily able to devour a human, and the desert is a harsh environment. Finding my father's remains would be an even more impossible task than finding his holocron, an ignoble end to a fine man. It doesn't seem to have anything to do with what she's asking. Are you actually sick, Mother?
What difference does it make to you? None, I'm sure. Just find your father's holocron, and you won't have to worry about me again either way.
That's the kind of response I would expect. Very well. We'll look for the holocron if we have time. I can't promise any more than that.
I believe your father was headed north towards the Sand People Enclave. I would check along that route, dear. Do please hurry. Back already? Have you even looked for the holocron yet?
I don't have the holocron.
Then what are you...
How can I help? About my mother? I'm unsure. I seem to find it difficult to remain objective when it comes to her. I find that disturbing. I told you that my mother and I never got along. Obviously, that has not changed. And now Father is dead. That leaves a hurt inside you just can't imagine. I haven't seen him in so long. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Let's keep going. How can I help? About my mother? We have more important things to do. Still, my father is dead. Just because we find the holocron doesn't mean I have to give it to her. Father recorded all his personal thoughts in that holocron, even when I knew him. Having it would be like having him with you. I don't see why she deserves it, however. She drove him to his death. I loved him, and I didn't even have a chance to say goodbye. I don't know. Part of me would keep it just so she didn't get it. I don't like that part of me. I would have thought my Jedi training would have put me past this kind of pettiness. I really don't want to think about this. Please, let's just keep